Welcome to the audio version of Conjured BTS, a BTS fanfiction by Zmelio. Episode 5, Jin Enacts a Plan. Amy started to sing for Jin, "I'm the one I should love in this world." She shook her head and stopped. Jin crossed his arms. "Why did you stop? Let's try again." "But don't stop, I'll start." He pretended to hold a microphone and sang in an over-exaggerated way, "'Cause I'm in the stars tonight." He pointed to her, saying, "Your turn." She looked at him with some confusion. "I don't know that song." Jin brushed her off. "That's not going to get you out of singing, young lady. Repeat after me. So watch me bring the fire, set the night alight." Then pointed at her and she sang, "So watch me bring the fire, set the night alight." He continued singing, "Shining through the city with a little funk and soul." She repeated it, and then he sang the next line. "Light it up like dynamite, oh." And she sang, "Light it up like dynamite." She paused until his stare prompted her to finish with, "Oh, oh, oh." Jin folded his arms again and stated, "I have determined that you are good enough at singing and you will try out for the solo." Amy looked down dejected, and Jin asked, "What is it? What is wrong?" She admitted her thoughts. "I'm going to fail." Jin put his hands on his hips. "You know BTS had failures. If it takes 12 tries to get something right, wouldn't you want to get the first 11 tries out of the way as quickly as possible? Besides, let's say you succeed. Then what? You have to make a new goal and start failing at that. Really, we spend most of our time failing, so we better get used to it." Amy put her hand on her mouth, shocked. "Jinopa, that was really..." Jin put his hand to his head in a pose, ready for praise, and suggested, "Profound, brilliant, inspirational." Amy said, "I was going to say depressing." Jin frowned and she laughed, continuing, "But also inspirational?" Jin moved on. "All right, next thing, math. We have to study for that test." "What math test?" Amy asked, thinking. Jin explained sarcastically, "The Chapter 5 math test that you slept through him talking about." One hand behind his back, Jin continued proudly, "Luckily, I not only know the English language, but all the math taught in school in America." "Really?" Amy exclaimed. Jin laughed heartily. "Not one bit. I mean, not at all. But that's okay. You learn more from teaching, so..." Proceeded to sing Boy with Love. "Come be my teacher, teach me everything about math, like 1 and 2. Amy pondered the situation critically, and Jin protested, "I mean, I know it didn't rhyme, but it wasn't that bad." "I don't want to sound ungrateful," Amy argued, "but I don't want to spend my time with you doing homework. I want to have fun with a friend." Jin replied with a wave of his hand, Trust me. Everything BTS and ARMY do together is fun by definition, even homework, so let's go." Jin sat with the math book open in his hands while Amy looked over his shoulder and tried to understand the material well enough to explain to him. She whispered something in explanation. She held her head confused. She waved it off in frustration. She thought about it some more and finally got it. It wasn't that hard after all. She clapped. Jin closed the book and said confidently, "I think I finally understand math now." As she said confidently, "I think I finally understand math now." "That makes one of us," Jin scratched his head, still confused. "But luckily I'm not the one taking the test." "So now we can play more games?" Amy asked. Jin checked the watch on his wrist and it doesn't exist and replied, "Yes, but an hour. Just an hour. Then sleep. Just an hour." Jin folded his arms and said sternly, "Yes, tomorrow is a busy day and our last day. I want you to be rested for it. But first, beat me at all of your games." They had as much fun as they had the night before, but this time Jin had his eye on the clock. And when it was time, he stopped playing and told her to go to bed. He helped tuck her in, and she asked what he did the night before while she slept. He told her what he had read. He offered to read to her until she fell asleep. She nodded with a smile. He picked up the next book, and within a page or two she was fast asleep. Time passed quickly again, but Jin managed to finish the rest of the series. He closed the last book with a sigh. He sat the book back on its shelf and stretched. He looked at Amy sleeping, and then looked at the clock. It was time to prepare. He stood and reached for the Super Soaker on the top shelf. He quietly snuck out of the bedroom to the bathroom. He put the water gun under the faucet of the sink and turned it on to a slow, quiet stream. He tiptoed back into the bedroom, and after closing the door quietly behind him, he pumped the gun several times to build up pressure. He stood beside the bed with the gun folded in his arms, waiting. And when the time was right, he stepped back with one foot and pointed the water gun squarely at Amy's face. The alarm sounded, and Amy's hand shot over to the snooze button. Eyes still closed tight, she swung her feet over to the side of the bed, missing Jin's legs by an inch. I'm up, she exclaimed. Jin lowered the water gun he had pointed at Amy's face and smiled. Great, I could put this water gun away. The what? Amy cried groggily. She rubbed the sleep out of her eyes while he set the gun aside. Nothing, he replied. And when she turned off the alarm and looked at him, he merely shrugged his shoulders. She turned back to the floor and stared for a moment, trying to discern dream from reality. She grabbed clothes and wandered into the bathroom. She was ready much quicker than the morning after she got a good night's sleep. She opened the door after getting dressed with no fanfare. This time when she looked in the mirror, with Jin behind her, she told herself, Now that is a pretty girl. How did that girl get so pretty? Jin waved his arms and howled enthusiastically as Amy laughed. With the exception of Amy's increased alertness, her day went much like any other. In fact, she often forgot Jin was with her because he would disappear for long stretches of time. She assumed he was bored with the lectures. After all, she definitely was. But no, Jin was on a mission. He poked his nose in every corner, listened in on every conversation. Finally, he caught a bit of an interesting conversation between two girls. Come on, Mona, come with me. I don't want to go alone, the first girl begged. Aw, I really don't want to go to her party. She's kind of mean, you know, Mona asserted. The other girl pouted. That's just her sense of humor. She doesn't mean anything by it. Jin looked over to see Mona shake her head. I still don't like it. Don't you want to make new friends? The other girl reasoned. Mona snapped back. Of course, but I want nice friends. The bell rang and they parted. Jin followed the girl down the hall. She made eye contact and smiled at people with mixed results. Someone dropped a book and she picked it up for them. She said, You're welcome to their thank you. Jin thought to himself, this could be the one. Later, when Amy left for math class, Jin greeted her in the hallway with a wave. How did your math test go? Jin asked. The best I've ever done, Amy stated proudly, then asked, Where are we walking to? Jin explained, While you've been in class, I've been searching the school looking for something special for you. He then pointed to a girl standing in the hallway. There, I found you a friend to have lunch with. Amy and the girl made eye contact. I've watched her. She's really nice. Say hi. Hi, Amy said shyly. Oh, hi. My name is Mona, the girl replied. I'm Amy, Amy returned. Jin prompted Amy to ask, Do you know BTS? Amy repeated, Do you know BTS? My cousin likes them, replied Mona. She sent me a picture of this really handsome guy. She started browsing her phone for the picture. Jin feigned humility. Oh, this is embarrassing to be this. But before he could finish his thoughts, the girl handed her phone to Amy. See? Amy said, Oh, yeah, that's V. A stunned Jin looked over Amy's shoulder, then began to protest away. No. I taught him how to make that look. Amy laughed and turned to Mona. I can imagine my biased Jin saying that he taught V everything he knows. Mona questioned, Jin, is that V's dad? Amy laughed some more as Jin gasped and folded his arms in a pout. No, she added. I could text you a picture of Jin. Mona shared her number, and Amy selected a picture of Jin with pink hair laying back in a chair, looking at the camera intensely with his shirt slightly undone. Jin cleared his throat. Was that Amy doing... What was Amy doing with this picture? What was she thinking, sharing it with another teenage girl? Don't you think you should pick something a little more cute and less... He wasn't sure about how he was going to describe this picture, but before he could decide, she clicked the button. Oh, you sent it. Mona received the picture and eyed it with a bit too much longing for Jin's taste. Oh my, I like him. Jin could feel himself blushing. He didn't intend every picture he took to be eyed by every audience. On some level, he knew he had no control over them after they were let loose in the world, but reality was hitting him hard at the moment. Oh, okay, I'm going now. Amy only laughed as he put some distance between himself and the girls.